Sean Kimball,
Here.
Sarah Stevens Morley,
Here.
Jeff Solon,
Here.
Greg Rosenblatt,
Here.
Chris Daddy, Megan Rockwell,
Here.
Dennis Ryu,
Here.
Chuck Net.
Here. All right, very good. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Public correspondence, we do have one.
So we have one message from president of the Cheshire Soccer Club talking about the fields. He did note that the vice president would attend today. Is the vice president here? Hi, Matt.
Nice.
Hi.
Matt, you know,
Would you like-
the floor is yours if you have some comments you'd like to make.
I won't step on the Legos.
Those are important.
Very much so. Thanks for letting me speak at the public portion of this. I'm Matt Tremine, Vice President of the Cheshire Soccer Club. I'd like to express on behalf of our entire board and our family that we very strongly support adding irrigation to the two larger multi-purpose fields at the North End School. That's looking beautiful, by the way. Our hope is that the growth of the grass and the irrigation that's happened already with the temporary system continues well beyond just the construction. There is a tremendous community need for more fields, and it's very unlikely that we're going to get another community park in the community. So every little field we can get counts. We're just hopeful that it doesn't turn into a field like the back of Chapman or the back of Highland, where it becomes like kind of yellowish and little tumbleweeds going through after the project's over with. As a father of a fifth grader at Chapman, and my wife's been teaching there for almost 25 years, I do have another connection to the project as well, because likely they will end up at the new school as well, the North End School. And when I'm like bringing my wife her iced coffee to get through the nighttime conferences for the next 15 years, I want to be able to look at this school, which is agriculturally themed, and see nice, lush lawns and vegetation, and not, which is a sign of the growth of the community, and not an agricultural field with dead, dying lawns and a little kind of depressing. So there are multiple reasons that I support this, both for the club, but also for the community. And I hope you consider that when you talk about the topic later tonight.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
As you know, it is on the agenda for conversation. Approval of meeting minutes, October 23rd, 2025.
So moved.
So we have a second? Second? I'm trying to remember if that is, one, I don't have, oh, wait, I do have it here.
I had one.
One of them had the date at the top
That's
incorrect.
right, that was
yeah.
it.
Oh, okay, is that the one?
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, so it says September something, it should say
Yeah.
October 23rd.
Yeah.
So,
Comment on page 3,
what's that?
or comment on page 3, the invoice for MP planning, there's 2 sentences in there about me asking what this was for, and the answer was for the shop drawings for the sprinkler system. Those comments belong to the invoice for Versteeg.
The invoice for what?
Versteeg,
Okay.
so just move them down a couple.
Okay.
So are those changes acceptable to everyone? Okay. And if that's the case, all those in favor? Oppose? And it's unanimous. And minutes for November 6th, 2025. So we have a motion.
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second, Sean. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Okay. Few quick things. I just was gonna mention the redistricting meeting that was held on Monday. Jeff, I don't know if you wanted to give a very quick overview of.
Sure. The demographer, I think you guys are familiar with MP Planning, and Mike Zuba, he presented to the community. We had about 25 parents in attendance, 100 or so online. Mike presented 5 different options, although the first option A was really just kind of the rough sketch option from several years ago that we needed to go to Department of Administrative Services. Those options are available on our website. When you go to the school modernization page, bottom left-hand side, there's a big bold link says redistricting information. If you click on that, you'll be able to see the video, the PDF map of our current zones. We're developing a frequently asked questions page to go there as well. So the board will be meeting on December 4th to take questions or feedback from the community, more feedback from the community, I would say. And then the other really outstanding item that we have to evaluate is a transportation evaluation of 2 of the primary scenarios that we looked at, 2 of the scenarios that best balance the schools, scenarios B and E. That will be informative. We're looking at the fact that, what does transportation look like for these 2 scenarios? If one is dramatically cheaper than the other, it's $80,000 per bus. So if one is significantly cheaper, that will probably influence people's decisions to a degree. So we are looking at a lot of different variables still before the board makes a decision on zones.
Any questions or comments? All right.
Actually,
Reminder.
sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
As it relates to the schools then, is there,
Sure.
what's the enrollment projection and stuff that would be for the 2 ones?
It's contingent on the zoning, on the scenario, Chuck. So if you go on there are 5, so if you look at each one, it will show you 10 years of enrollment projections. What year is the peak? They look closely at 5 years out for state reimbursement as well. So it's a 10-year enrollment projection under each scenario for each building.
Yeah, I don't think we went over the number that was associated with the school in
That's
any
what I
of
was
the 10
looking for.
years.
What do you mean?
Would we look at?
Oh, you mean went beyond the cap? Oh, no, it's under the capacity. It also, the PowerPoint presentation articulates how the capacity is developed. The capacity is pretty conservative in our estimation. For example, the capacity, I think, is it lists for Highland today is a little over, I think it's about 800, and we have more than that there now. It's certainly not good, but you could do it. The interesting thing about the enrollment projections is it also associates each projection with percent of capacity. So you can see that percentage all the way through the 10 years. And that's really where Mike was trying to balance all 4 buildings. You don't want one building at 98% capacity and another at 78. So how do we right-size those buildings over the course of 10 years? And all those percentages are outlined on all 4 buildings in the district on that presentation.
Surprisingly, there were only a couple of comments, and
At the meeting.
got more since then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear about that.
I thought there would be more at that meeting, but. All right, a few items. Just a reminder that our holiday, due to the holidays, our next meeting is December 11th. It's a week earlier than what it normally would be. We had great walkthrough last Thursday or 2 Thursdays ago. Just about everybody from the committee was there. Most of the town council, I think all the board of ed. I didn't know if there were any comments or whatever. I did send a thank you note to O&G for organizing it, and it it seemed to have gone over very well, and I heard lots of nice positive comments, but I don't know if people around the table had anything that they wanted to share.
I would say that, you know, everything obviously looked great, but in terms of the sites, and I know you guys were planning for the visit and everything, but the housekeeping on the sites, and just like everything being orderly was like fantastic. I mean, there was nothing that seemed like out of place, and again, I understand you did that, like, knew everybody was coming in, but just in general, I've seen a lot of construction sites that
And
are
it's
nearly as
generally
clean,
like that.
well
I've seen
kept,
other
you know?
construction sites where, you know, you can't move around, but, no, they've done a good job in both buildings.
They do keep a tidy house. I mean, I'm there with a little bit more regularity, and it's I wouldn't say it's always that great, but it's really close, to be honest with you. What's your secret for my house? You guys
We
do
were
a great-
fortunate to have two of the best supers in the business.
Yeah, you do a
on
great
these two
job.
schools, so
Yeah, you do a
they
great
do
job.
a great job.
Okay. The next item, I had sent out to you approval of the meeting schedule for the coming year. Each year we have to do that, it has to be submitted to the state. This year, as you'll recall, we set it up with 2 meetings a month, with the first one to be an optional. We ended up using that only one time. But I had to bug everybody at the beginning of every month to say, do you need the meeting? So my recommendation is that as we look ahead to the coming year, that we not bother scheduling that first one. If we need an emergency meeting or something, we can always schedule it. So I've laid out the schedule that I'm recommending. I sent that out to everyone and wanted to know if there were any issues or problems with it. If not, then I'd like a motion to approve the meeting schedule for the coming year.
So moved.
So moved. And a
Second.
Second, Chuck. Any discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Eversource, got a nice note from them. I hope that you've seen it. Let's see what the exact dollars were. So they have committed at this point in time to for the North End School, $836,000, $250, and for
Norton,
yeah,
747,
yeah,
960.
for Norton, 747, 963, and 50 cents. So that's a nice piece of change, that once the schools are finished, and once they go through and verify our energy systems, the town will be seeing a nice rebate coming back, that will, I'm sure, help our bonding issues. Any comments or questions on that? Okay. Continued discussion on field irrigation. I watched the video of the meeting last month. I wasn't here. I was out at the beach while you guys were meeting. The wedding was on the beach, by the way. But I know that there was a fair amount of discussion on this, and that we asked that we get some pricing. So let's see what people are looking at.
What kitchen nightmares?
All right, so these are, really rough order magnitude prices. This is the pricing that we were able to pull together based on limited information that we had for the two schools. For the two fields at the North End Barnum School. The south field is the field that is by our house office. That's the one in the corner by the corner of Marion and Jarvis Street. And the north field is the field just adjacent to the north side of the school. Real quick before I get into the numbers, I just wanted to show, if everyone can see here, this blue line that you see here coming out of the corner of the building here to this field area, this is the conduits that I'm going to be talking about for future or if you do approve the irrigation system, this will be likely how they would do it. They would run the conduits, a 2-inch water supply and electrical conduits out from the corner of this building. This is where our our main mechanical room is in this building. So it's a direct run out to the side of the field, and a relatively short run for the north field. The south field is obviously a lot longer run. Come out the front of the building. This is underground, cored through the foundation, so you're not going to see this piping coming out of the building, but cored through from the inside, and then run underneath and what you're seeing here is future sidewalk area, future grass area. It is in between all of the paving, so it would not end up going under any of the new binder course, so we would not need any, one of the questions was, what about cutting and paving and whatnot? We won't actually have to cut paving, interrupt any major sidewalks at this time, but there would be a little bit of sidewalk work that has to be done to repair it, as you can see crossing the sidewalk here, this sidewalk is not in yet. So again, we want to, this is what I'm going to talk about in numbers for you is basically two different ways. If we just do the underground infrastructure so that you can do the irrigation in the future, and then the rest of the numbers are related if you do choose to go down the route of actually putting irrigation in during the project, and we would like to do that earlier in the project versus next spring, next summer, just because this cost will go up the later we wait. So going back to the cost that we got, now this is only one contractor's pricing as far as the actual irrigation system itself. The numbers here you're seeing, the water conduit at the south field, $26,550. That's because we have the quantity of run. This is a unit cost, so this is labor and materials and equipment costs. So this is everything that you would need to get those numbers in. This comes directly from Richards. It's based off a linear foot price at a unit cost of $45 per linear foot. Obviously, we would want to see the full breakout and get be able to vet it all out if we were to go down this road. But this is a rough order of magnitude for you. Inside the mechanical rooms, obviously we have the slabs all poured. You do have to excavate, saw cut and excavate some of that slab out so you can get the piping out into the mechanical room. So this is the cost would be for your mechanical room excavation, so that's demo of the slab and excavating out. Removal and replacement of sidewalks, so they are looking at about 230 square feet of sidewalk that could be impacted at $30 per square foot, so $6,900. The irrigation subcontractor total, so what we got from Winterberry is a lump sum for both fields of $59,550. This would be to supply and install the actual irrigation system, in addition to Richard's cost to bring all the conduits and for water and electric out to that area. That's broken over, it's basically the equal amount for both fields of $29,689. Again, rough order of magnitude, we would need to see an actual design and then be able to fully price it. And then obviously landscaping restoration is an estimate, but they threw a number in there about $5,000. On the north field, because it's a much shorter run, same unit price, but you go to about just under $5,000 to run all your underground infrastructure. This mechanical room interior excavation is a one-time charge. So if you chose to do both fields, it would only be $3,500 once. It wouldn't be two $3,500s for each field. So that would reduce a little bit. There's much less curb and remove and replace of curbs. No sidewalks impacted at this time, so there's a small amount of curb work that would need to be done. Obviously, we talked about the same irrigation subcontractor number and the restoration. What is not included in this is the plumbing and electrical cost inside the building. So we would have to get separate pricing from that. Was not able to get that at this time because we don't really have a lot of information. But I don't think that would be a very large amount of money. You're really just tying into existing systems, both electrically and for water. You would have to provide the actual wiring and whatnot for out to the fields would not be provided by Richards. They're just putting the conduit in the ground. The wall cores, the link seals, and the slab replacement would also be an addition to Richards. They don't do that work, so we'd have to get a separate subcontractor, likely our general trades contractor or our concrete contractor would be able to provide us with a firm number on that and to do that. Again, I don't think that's a large amount of money. Again, and waterproofing the same thing. I think you're talking about plumbing and electrical, $5,000 or less, and then the wall cores and and the rest of this probably in that neighborhood or a little less maybe as well. So maybe add another $10,000 overall. Again, all of this work except the plumbing and electrical would be, you know, the link seals, the wall cores, the slab replacement, the waterproofing would be a one-time charge. Whether you do one field or both fields, it wouldn't double the cost. The electrical and plumbing, you know, inside the building, the electrical and plumbing, a little bit extra if you're doing both of them. They'll probably double that, the money in there. Where you're gonna run into some bigger electrical numbers is running the electrical all the way out to the south field, because that's a much longer run as opposed to the north field. So all in here, I think you're looking at, in the neighborhood of, I would say, a safe number, when you see the numbers here, is probably $130,000 or less if you went with both fields in their entirety, in the near future to do this, all right? So, and again, we don't necessarily need to do the actual installation of the irrigation system itself. It is the infrastructure underground we want to do now ahead of everything else. So, and whether we put it out to some handholds and get it get it to, from the face of the building to the face of, you know, to the fields, without actually coring through the walls and setting up the inside work, you can do all of that infrastructure. That's what we want to do now. You know, ideally, if you're going to core through into the building, and you are going to go with this irrigation system, better off doing that now than after we've done plantings and finish, you know, work all in this area.
Okay. Rich, if I could ask you, I just want to make sure the committee has an understanding of our contingency situation before we open up the conversation.
So this is the same format that we did last month, where we're basically summarizing what the overall contingencies that are available to the committee for, you know, for these type of things. So Barnum is in blue. Owner's contingency, $5,304,000, and the bid savings of $5,619,000. So a total in the owner's control of $10,924,000. Now that includes some of the changes that we incorporated from the last month. We had to increase the TestCon purchase order, so that came out of the owner's contingency, and then you can see that we're also starting to track things that are projected that we know that there are going to be costs that are not in change orders yet. For example, the de-escalation room, Barnum is $99,000. So if you drop down, you can see that the total available on Barnum in owner's contingency and bid savings is $10,824,000.
And there really is no difference between owner's contingency and bid savings,
No.
right? That's just, we could have just put them all together
You
and
could have
called
put,
it the
yeah,
contingency.
yeah. I think we recognized that there was a substantial bid savings, and we wanted to make that distinction, so we just kept that line item.
All right, discussion on irrigation systems. Do we want to
Are those
proceed?
fields gonna be lit at night? 'Cause if they're irrigated, I assume they'd wanna use them much more than if they're not irrigated. And it's lighting on those two fields.
There currently is not lighting on those fields.
Yeah, we never discussed.
Not to make it, to use so much more.
It was raised by the soccer group at one point, but we never pursued that.
Mhm.
Do you have the actual picture on or not?
Just,
The drone image of it?
you know this better.
Yes, I can pull that up.
When we got the synthetic field at the high school, the booster club put in half, and the town put in the other half.
No, fundraising groups, not just Booster, so it's Gridiron and others, they put in about $250,000, and $550,000 came from a deep grant, actually. So that was the breakout, 550 grant, 250
Okay.
local contributions.
So in my mind, it's kind of the same principle here. If we stay true to the letter of the school grant, we're building this for the purposes of recreation and recess for the school. I don't think I would have an issue with doing the infrastructure, but I think I would have an issue with throwing irrigation as part of this package.
comments?
So I would just, kind of echo, I know the conversation last time, and at least the position of town and town staff, we aren't a town that has a community center, and certainly not a community asset or facility up in the north west quadrant of the town. I think this particular school is gonna get a lot of community use in addition to school use, and I think, echoing some of the concerns you've heard from soccer club, but there's others, other sports groups out there that, we are very much in a field deficit. It is true, you almost can never have enough fields, but we do have we have a growing population, we know we have a growing population of young folks, a lot of activities on our fields, and so I think, at least from a community asset standpoint, having the additional ability to use those fields more regularly for more organized, consistent play and safer play than you have as the fields on some of our schools just sort of deteriorate if you're not able to irrigate them over particularly the summer months, would be a huge asset to the town. So I think, from our standpoint, I also think aesthetically it's important. I think these are real showpieces for the town for the first time in over 50 years, and I think pretty soon they're going to start to look, especially this school, especially that front south field as we talk about. It's just such a visible field that I'd love to see it looking green as opposed to fielding the calls and complaints that we're letting it, go fallow or look not as it could. Because frankly, I think watering it manually is going to be too hard or difficult, and it won't be done over the summer. There's just no way.
Rich, is this a reimbursable?
No.
Okay, so this comes out, completely out of our dollar.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
It does. If I could just add one point to that, though, the overall budget for both schools, right? The 166.6 million, and we know there's ineligible components to that, but we know that's the overall project budget. I mean, just to put some things in perspective, by waiving the local permit fees, which we did, that was worth $1.6 million to this project by not having, and yet we're still having, my building office can tell you, they're slammed with work supporting the school construction, and we're not seeing any revenue reimbursement. Now look, it's all town dollars, it's all taxpayer dollars, whether it's this part of the project or we have to bond it and rip this up and add irrigation in the future, which I'd hate to see.
Right.
But just as an order of magnitude, 1.6 million, we're supporting the work for $1.6 million worth of permit fee inspections as a building department. So we're incurring those costs, but we're not seeing those dollars support. I'm not able to add additional staff in the building department for that reason. So I just would point out that's part of the reason we have a healthy contingency now too. We didn't have to pay that. So I think it's
Other
worth considering.
comments?
If you're talking about the aesthetics part of it, though, I mean, these are just two grass fields amongst a whole lot of grass that's on the hill and like in between
Right.
the parking lots and everything else. Is it gonna look like two nice grass fields and then a bunch of dead grass in between? Like, does that really do anything for us aesthetically? Cause then it looks like you didn't take care of like the rest of the lot either, right?
Yeah, I think it still looks nicer to have some nice green parts personally. But I mean, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, we're certainly not, it kind of looks like, I guess, a little bit like that, right?
Well, from where I sit, too, the facility, as large as the acreage is, there isn't a lot of flat space for PE. You're taking kids outside, and anytime you're playing PE or recess, is a pretty limited flat space, and irrigating those two places make them obviously significantly more durable and usable year-round. Aside from the fact that, I do recognize the points that were made about there aren't parks in the north end of town. If you're on the south end of town, if you live next to Barnum and there's no soccer field there, you go easily to, Bartlum and have a lot of access.
Norton.
Excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, Norton. So on the south end of town, yeah.
I'm pretty compelled by the town and the schools and our community members like asking for this. I think the schools are part of the community. I do hear Dennis's point about, you know, was this in the ed spec, and I know that we did, you know, we made one of these a warming center, right, at the request of the town, but that was in the ed spec? Is that what happened? Or did we just do it because it would be helpful for the town?
I don't think it's in the ed spec.
No, it's not, definitely not
Yeah,
the ed spec.
so like, I don't see how this is a lot different than that, and I think it would be really helpful to the town. Now, I'm not a math person, as we all know, but I did do some rough numbers, and of our current contingency, this is 1.03% at that 130,000. 130,000 over 12,521,777 equals.
You did the math right.
Okay. It's been a long time.
Checks and balances over,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we do make a balance between serving the students K through, pre-K through 6, and serving the community. We did that when we decided to put wooden floors in the gymnasium. That was an extra charge. It was largely done because it would serve the community more than we needed to serve the K through 6 population. I've lived in town for 40 years, and every time there's a major construction project, there is something after the fact that people look at and say, why didn't they do X, Y, or Z? Why didn't they put the pool on the high school when they put the addition on? You know, that sort of thing. If money was really tight, I would say, you know, obviously, this is not something that's essential. I do believe that, you know, the funds are there. We're gonna be in a position to say to the town, you've come in substantially under budget and you don't need to be bonding nearly what you did. But on the other hand, if this is something that will enhance both the school population and the people in the town, I personally feel that we should go ahead and do it. Other comments?
What are we losing for fields at Chapman and Darcy? Darcy right now. There's baseball fields. Right?
Chapman's hard to tell because they, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen to that property. So, I mean, could be losing everything. Right now, there's
So
a,
what's there for fields?
like a
That's
T-ball
usually-
field,
Yeah,
basically.
small diamonds, and those are only recent in the last couple of
Yeah,
years. There was a heyday when they were there, we kind of restored to, as there were 2 local little leagues that sort of were competing for space, and we added, or kind of restored 2
Right.
fields there. But nothing that's kind of been long-term there, and there's no rectangle field there that's used for
And I don't think
Darcy has a little T-ball.
So
field,
Darcy
right?
has on the front, it
Challenge.
has, that's for the Cheshire Challengers, and we do have a grant and a separate project in the works for a dedicated adaptive use field for leagues like the Cheshire Challengers.
And where's
working
that
with
gonna
the
be?
Challengers. The subcommittee is still exploring options. It's potentially at Cheshire Park is the most likely candidate right now. Across from
Yeah.
so, but that would replace. But that field at Darcy's been very problematic for them. Frankly, it's not even that accessible as it really needs to be for modern standards there. So they're excited about the prospect. We have a state grant to help support that.
Any other discussion? If not, do we have a motion? What are you moving?
I would move, so from my perspective, I would move the full proposal that was up on the screen earlier for the 2 fields and infrastructure. I think it was at 120.
A recommendation possibly. I think we would need to possibly give the design team authorization to provide O&G with the information, right, to the design or whatever, or something along those lines that we would need, because this is a very rough price, right?
Yeah.
And I think we need the design team's input.
Ryan, in light of the fact that, you know, winter is coming and you're talking about, you know, this is work that should be done before you put other, like, concrete down or whatever. Is this something where we would be better off doing a not to exceed, or are we worried that, the bid might exceed the 125 or whatever it was?
I think, and Mark could jump in here too, but what I would think is that at the very least, if this is something this committee would like to move forward with, during this project, like I said, the big thing that I would like to see get done early is all of the underground conduits and whatnot, and we don't have to make a decision right now on coring through the building. We're not going to be doing any landscaping around the building this time of year. We'll be doing it starting in the spring of next year, and likely, even if you were to fully authorize the irrigation system, and we have the design and whatnot, you're getting late into the season to really put an irrigation system in. And from my experience, and obviously anyone else, we're not gonna be ripping up these fields to put this irrigation system. The machines they use go right over the grass that's there, right? And they kind of tunnel through it. Yes, it'll need a little bit of time to repair itself, but we'll have that time if we do this early in the spring, as soon as the ground thaws next spring, with actually installing the irrigation part. But we would want to get all of your conduits and whatnot into at least underground, up to the building and up to the fields. So just as
So in terms of a motion, what would you recommend to best cover us to ensure that we can execute the work necessary before the weather or whatever?
I would say you would want to do at minimum, just because these are really rough order of magnitudes, just you totaling these two prices right here, you're at $31,500. You might be safe saying maybe bump that to $35,000 as a not to exceed, and then we can really hone in on the numbers with Richards, and get them moving forward with doing the underground conduits, so that we have them in place. And again, a couple of things that were not shown in here that I said is that if we have to put some handholds in, those are not terribly expensive, but there could be some additional dollars in here that are not captured in this 31.5 that is shown right here.
So the motion then would be to approve up to 35,000, not to exceed 35,000
For kinds of Mark?
for,
I was gonna say, maybe just make it 40 to
Make it 40
help
just to be
yourself a little
safe.
bit there and.
For the purpose of conduit installation for irrigation? Right.
yeah.
So maybe underground infrastructure for future irrigation.
But that's including water, right, Ryan?
That's,
Just
yeah,
the
it's
water
just-
service out to the.
It's 2-inch PVC water and conduit out there, so it's your conduit for your electrical and the pipes for the water piping to go out there. You wouldn't make it live or anything like that, but you'd have it all in place. And then we can core from core the walls at some point in the near future, or, before the springtime, before we get into doing landscaping around the building.
So you'd need to come back to us with further pricing.
Yes, because the link seals, all of the items at the bottom here that you can see, we have not gotten any firm pricing on, right? And I think we would need a little bit more information to be able to get you better pricing on that. Link seals, while not super expensive, are not cheap either. The coring through you're gonna spend a couple $1,000s probably in coring costs, and waterproofing link seals and things of that, and slab replacement in there. So again, I think $40,000 should be more than enough to cover anything we would need to get the infrastructure from the face of the building to the fields at both fields.
You wanna say your motion then?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I would move that we approve and allocate $40,000 for underground infrastructure in support of irrigation at the Barnum Elementary School for both fields. Anything else? No.
To be paid.
Oh, to be paid out of the owner's contingents.
Be out of bid savings or owner's contingent, really doesn't
Either
matter.
one, yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Discussion?
For the electrical conduit, would it be enough, like the conduit would be big enough that you'd be able to run electrical, not just for the system, but if there was like future lights or something out there? Or would that be a bigger conduit?
You might have to go to a bigger conduit. We'd have to explore, that conduit. Again, you're not gonna see a vastly huge increase in cost. I can just tell you on another project recently we did, they went from all 2-inch conduit to 3 and 4-inch conduit, and they had something like, it was over 2,000 linear feet, and we're talking about 700 linear feet here. Their number was, the difference between those was in the neighborhood of $11,000 total. And that's, you're talking almost 3 times as many linear feet, or more, maybe more than 3 times as linear feet. So you're probably only talking a few $1,000 if we need to upcharge.
So that's something that we could figure out some of the design.
It's heavier conduit, so it costs more.
Well, we can figure that out during the design phase, if we say, hey, we wanna put lights out there or something, and then change the conduit. that
Right, I
works.
would say if we wanted to, you know, if there was the potential for lights, if that's something in the discussion, you're better off going to, and again, I don't know if this is a 2-inch conduit they were talking about, a 1-inch, or, and maybe you're going 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, but you're not gonna see a huge amount of increase overall, and that's something I would, again, talk to the design team about to have better information from maybe Kohler Roning can give us a better idea of what we should have for conduit to make sure we have enough room for any electrical to those fields for that, as well as potential future lights.
If you're gonna invest in it, it makes sense to invest in
Yeah.
having that future growth potential.
Yeah,
I think it's small dollars now, and
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
instead of
we're.
opposed to running a whole new
ripping
conduit.
things up 10 years from now, or 5 years from now. Whenever the town has the money to put big lights up.
And again, I was going over at the advises, can we put both those sets of electrical in one set of conduit?
Right.
And, you know, so.
So is that
So-
within that 40,000 scope, or would you suggest 45?
If you're gonna go to larger conduit, you're gonna increase the
Yeah.
cost.
You might need two,
Yeah, double conduit, double force.
2 rows.
Yeah.
We're only voting on the infrastructure?
Correct.
The way the motion is right now, yeah, unless you wanna, well, you can do another motion, or,
Amend the motion?
yeah, the
I would
motion
amend
right
my
now
motion.
is just to go ahead with the infrastructure, and are we looking to bump that up to 45 now with the larger conduit?
I don't think it'll hurt you to have that extra leverage in case we were told that we need to go that high, you know, that it.
Yeah, it's a not to exceed.
I need to get to 41,000 and have to come back to you and say for that $1,000
Yeah.
because the size of the conduit went up.
Alright, so I'll amend it
So
to
you'll amend your
45,000.
motion to 45?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Did I hear that there was a design component to, Ryan? Because we should probably,
That's what I don't, like, most of this stuff is delegated design, for the sprinkler, so I don't really know what additional stuff inside the building needs to be as a connection.
Yeah, that's, again, that's something we would have to talk about. I think, you know, everything in the field, the irrigation guy's gonna provide, he's gonna determine the size of the water piping he needs, the amount of electrical he needs. I think it's just where do we tie into the inside the building, I think is really the component that the design team would
Well,
need.
we're giving you the go-ahead to do all the work now that would
Right.
be required, so that we don't end up having to,
Correct.
mess up
Right.
construction that we have outside. We can come back
Sure.
at our next meeting or January meeting and talk about any future,
Well, Kohler Roning's gonna have to size the electrical wires
yeah.
yeah.
so that they can size the conduit.
So that'll be a separate
Yeah,
charge.
to be honest, Dennis, right now, I just don't know if that's a simple question, hey, I'm running, the owner's gonna run, potentially power for a sprinkler system and then power for future lights. I don't know if that's a simple 10-minute answer to say, oh, you should probably go to a 3-inch conduit or 2 separate 2-inch conduits. If there's more analysis and on the surface, I don't think that's I think that's a 10-minute answer, but sitting here right now, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
You weren't talking about running power for future lights, you were just talking about putting
I
conduit
just
in,
want the conduit,
Yeah,
those things.
just to pull it through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it's for.
that would be something for down the line. Got a motion and a second, other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous, very good. Matt, we're partway there.
See you next month.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Vin, discussion and action related to the quote for moving.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I know that Rich Gussenberg sent the 2 move quotes out, and I'll just walk through these quickly for you. The first one is quote number 59829. This is for Barnum. The move budget for each school is $150,000. That's what's in that line item. Doesn't necessarily mean this is the only item that will be charged potentially to that account, but I think this is the bulk of it. The quote that we received is from Meyer Inc. They do have a state bid award for moving. We've heard good things from them. We met with Mike Human from Meyer a few weeks ago. I know they just moved Neck River Elementary. which was a Tecton project. I know Zach and Arcadis have had quite a bit of experience, so their references are very, very good. This quote for Barnum is at $97,296, and what that includes is we're assuming we're moving everything from Chapman and Darcy to Barnum. We know that based on the redistricting, it may not be exactly that, but the total number of classrooms between the two schools, these two quotes will cover. We're also assuming that 5 teachers from Highland are going to Barnum. And then when we talk about Norton, it's the same assumption. We're going to move 5 teachers out of Highland to one of the 2 new schools. We just gave a move date to begin on or about June 15th. They know that Chapman doesn't have an elevator, so there's a stair carry from the 2nd floor. The quote makes it clear that final invoicing is based on actual time of move and also materials that we purchase, such as boxes. So this could fluctuate up or down. The recommendation that I'm making after speaking to the gentleman from Meyer is add a 10% contingency for the move. Again, he's very experienced in doing this, so we may not need the contingency, but because we have the budget, I think it would make sense to do that. And the only thing that he added here is that we have to remove all the contents of the furniture before they'll move any furniture. We're not going to be moving very much furniture, so I don't think that'll be an issue. And then Norton is essentially a quote that's a little bit small because it is a smaller building. $87,414 is the quote. Again, the assumption is we're going to move all the old Norton contents to the new Norton, as well as 5 of the 10 teachers that are at Highland into the new Norton. All the other assumptions are exactly the same. So again, I would recommend that if this is going to be approved, add a 10% contingency. So, you're talking, if you do roughly a 10% contingency, for Barnum it'd be 110, yes, $150,000 budget. For Norton, if you went to 100,000, I guess $150,000 budget, that would leave, some funds there. The only other thing, while I'm on the topic and I have everybody's attention, from a move standpoint, I know at least one other component that we may have some consulting costs associated with, and I don't know where we would charge them necessarily, but, I don't think we need to buy all new handsets in the 2 new buildings for the phones. We can move those. May need some programming, but, I would look at that as potentially a move cost. I know that I haven't talked to Justin, or Rich about this in detail, but there may be other costs associated with this move that might go towards that $150,000 budget, but it certainly seems to be an adequate cushion even with these approvals.
Questions of Ben?
And the only other thing I'll add is that by doing this now, because I know we're way ahead of the game, we'll lock our position with Meyer for the move when it gets done, and by having this approved, we could start work in earnest on planning the move. So no questions, I'll stop now.
Well, we should have 2 separate motions, one for each building. Do I have a motion for Barnum School?
I move to approve $110,000 for moving costs as presented by Ben for the new Norton School.
To Meyer.
To Meyer, what was it?
Meyer Inc. It just says Meyer, yeah, I guess so. Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Would we move the 40,000, or, yeah, 40,000 right away into bid savings then, or we're saying we keep it in moving, Rich?
But it's not a front floor.
Yeah, I personally would leave it there because there may, as Ben was saying, there may be some other things that come up regarding the move. So I would leave it in that line item. We can move it later once we know that we have all the costs associated.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard the question from Chuck, was, would we, if we pass this motion for $110,000, would we move the additional $40,000 into the contingency or leave it in the moving budget?
That's certainly the building committee's preference, but because moving is kind of a moving target, it's not a you know, lump sum quote. I would leave that there, because as Vin also mentioned, there could be some additional costs for moving technology that we're not looking at right now, but we'll probably need. So, I mean, we can move it down and then move it back up, but I would just, I would leave the money in that line item.
We can move it later if we find we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did a project where we used them, and it was a renovation of it was at Conn College, their early childhood education center. And last summer, we renovated it. Was it last summer or the summer before? I don't remember. But we moved everything out, we used them, moved everything out, we did the renovation, and then they moved it back. It did come in over because it took longer. They had so much stuff, we used more boxes and it took longer, so leaving it in there is the smart thing to do.
And
Yeah.
you
We already
always
bumped
need
it
to
up
use more
10%,
boxes then.
Yeah.
that's what I don't understand.
Hopefully it'll stay there.
So why don't we just approve it if we're gonna have to pay more for it and it's not a hard cost, why don't we just approve it for what it is? Like, what's the point of approving it for 10%?
Well, so I think this will authorize the town to write a purchase order to Meyer, and I don't know if you wanna write a purchase order for $150,000, it's probably better off if you keep it at the lower amount.
No, I'm saying he presented a cost of, well, less than 100,000.
Right.
We're approving 110. Why wouldn't we just approve the 97 or whatever it was? Why are we doing the 10%?
The reason, my thought is, if you approve the 110, if the 97 comes in at 103, I don't have to come back to the committee
Right.
to request additional funding.
Like we did with Tescon's purchase order, yeah.
I think Chuck is asking, the 97 includes the 10% already on?
No, it does
110,
not.
110 will.
No, I'm saying we're saying we're not gonna move the money because stuff might come back. We already accounted for that by bumping it up 10%, is what I understand.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
So why would we
Not move
not
the
just
money.
do it 97 and then prove what we have left and pay for it
I
out of
think
the
you're
moving
hoping the
budget?
Meyer number would stay within the 110.
Yeah,
But
what
there
I-
may be other moving
Separate
costs that
projects.
have nothing to do with Meyer.
Right, the reason I leave it for now is there may be,
Outside of Meyer.
yeah,
Yeah.
costs related to the move,
Gotcha.
which we would ask for Total Communications, which is our vendor to help us,
Right.
probably only a few $1,000s is my guess, but I guess there's some unknowns, Chuck, that I don't know that we might hit in the moving line, so I want.
It being outside of Meyer was the
Correct.
key for me there.
And we can adjust as we go along. Any other discussion? Seeing none? Oh,
Okay, so
go ahead.
this is for Norton, right?
This is
This is
Nor-
for North End.
North End, I'm sorry, so this is the 110.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm clear on what we moved for.
Yep, okay. All those in favor? And it is unanimous. And Chuck, do you want to make a motion for Norton School?
Sure. Make a motion to approve 100,000 out of the moving budget for Meyer, for moving costs as presented by Ben.
Second? Sean? Discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? And it's unanimous. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, energy conservation.
I'm going to give you a little preamble while Aaron Alibrio sets up. I don't think Aaron needs any introduction. He's been here before. So I know that we had our school visits last week. There was a mock-up of what was 3 solar array panels that were built by L&G, which Ryan, we appreciate the effort by everyone to get that done. Erin tonight will present, some additional, options for the committee to consider over at the north end. I know that we presented this as a fast tracks renewable portion of this project. We're trying to get, these solar arrays approved, not just for these 2 new buildings, but for 4 other schools. And there's also a fuel cell at Cheshire High School that we're working on. I will say tonight that, the fast track that we'd like to be on, the State of Connecticut School Construction Grant, is not on that same page. So we are, you know, struggling, working with them a little bit to get an approval, you know, on the school construction grant. We had a pretty high-level meeting earlier this week, you know, with Sean and Jeff Solon and our town attorney on, you know, with the state as well. So we're trying to work through those details. So I just want the committee to know that you're not slowing us down in any way. You know, I know that we've gone through several iterations of where we would put those arrays at Barnum in particular. So I do appreciate you continuing, you know, to consider this, and with that, Aaron, looks like you're ready. I'll turn it over.
Yeah, so obviously this is just Barnum and primarily the discussions will be around Barnum, but I did leave the slides in there for the other school because I don't think you said 100% no to the carport, and it's gonna be really hard to visualize where that carport would finally go aesthetically, considering you've got a building there right now, so. So these are the, several meetings ago that you requested we remove any of the solar that are facing Marion or Jarvis. And so these in red are being removed, and so we'll lose those. And so as we've talked before, we also lost the idea of the carport over on the side entrance from Jarvis. And so these are primarily proposed areas to get back to the design of 945 KW. So in that back far left, we're maximizing the usable ground space. And as you probably didn't get a chance to see because it was a little dark there, that is lower by about 10 feet. So it is sloping down, so it won't be as high and visible, and it is on the back corner. It will be visible from the field and from the playscape there, but I think that's a good use. And then in the front is where the mock-up was done. And so there's a high grade from Marion Street. It's about 25 feet drop down, so the panels that were there in the mock-up are going to be similar to that in terms of a 20-foot or 20-degree raise. Now the option here is put it on the ground, put a fence around it, or raise it, put it in a carport, and get the benefit of the lighting and additional security system that you could have out there in terms of overseeing everything that happens in those parking lots.
I just want to reiterate the fence part because I wasn't aware of that until Vince mentioned to me yesterday, that if it's on the ground, it has to have a fence all the way around it.
Yep.
So if this were put in the front on the ground there's how tall a fence is that?
Be about standard 6 feet.
How long?
6 feet.
6 feet tall, okay. Chain link?
Chain link, yep.
Okay.
So, another option that we looked at, there's something wrong with the picture, I just wanna go back. The size that's in the back corner, okay, is smaller in this next picture. So, but what this would represent is the back corner would be as big as it is. What this represents is if we were trying to get the panels on the hill to pick up more load and optimize the location and the orientation in the back corner. Now, they didn't maximize this when they did the helioscope. So what I'm proposing is, if the upper hill is an option, that we could go with the larger on the upper hill. We may be able to move some over here, but this configuration with on the hill and this in the back is nothing on the roofs. So we can pick up the entire design load of 945 by doing the larger array in the back and the more on the hill.
On that hill, you're saying it has to have a fence that's 6 foot all the way around, right?
Yep.
So that fence would be up by the road in that case then?
It would be completely around. It would encirculate the.
So as
But it
far
would
as
be right
taking
along
care of
there,
the lawn and everything else in there,
Will they have a gate for vegetation? There'll be a gate to,
I understand.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to mow in between every one of those panels and everything else then?
there's some other things that we can do in the design to keep the vegetation slow growing and also not have to mow it every week, if you will, in the growing season.
In essence, like purplish shaded area around would be the perimeter where the fence line would be, right?
Correct.
So if we had the big array on the top right, like in the previous slide,
Yep.
and the roof, how small would the array on the left-hand side be?
Is that just the carport right there?
It's a, yes, less than what this picture, we can take a little bit off of this picture,
Well, I
about
wanna
200.
go to the next picture. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows, how many rows would you have
If we did,
if you did the larger array on the top right and the roof?
if you, well, oh, okay, I understand now what your question is. You'd probably lose about half of that. And so, if there's, I mean, if you wanna move it back, I say back or up, you'd lose about half of those larger, plus the roof, 225.
Justin, which one's the bus loop?
Bus loop is to the north.
And if you were to move those 6 up to the north, into the hill in front of the bus loop, would that work?
We're talking up in here?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so this array represents about 400, the roof is about 450, roof is about 225, and we can get 542 on the back. So we would need 200, so we can move that and limit that.
So after seeing the mock-up, and after the discussion today about making sure that the front of the school is pristine and we see a very rural environment, having solar panels in front of the entire assembly is an atrocity. No offense.
Yeah, we were looking at all options when we said take it off the roof and what would it look like over here, so.
Yeah, it doesn't look good in the front. I mean, to have a great elevation that Ernest did, and then have an assembly of Unistrut in front of it with a fence, it's not gonna fly.
I agree.
What did folks think of the carport? Was there a mock-up of the carport at Barnum?
That was a ground mount, right?
Ground mount, okay.
Yeah,
I had the same question, I don't think it was a carport, right?
No, it was on the hill as a ground mount.
Oh, got it.
and even the ground mount was offensive. And ONG did a wonderful job at it, and it was still ugly.
I don't think the committee has any issue with as large as you can possibly make it in that northeast section. And I don't think that there's any concern about having units on the roof other than what you can see from the front, which we talked about. So I think if that's a given, and you're looking to add, I guess, the question then becomes, what is the least obtrusive additional, that we could add, whether it's on the hill, way up on the north section, which would be a south-facing
Yeah.
piece.
Right up over there.
Yeah.
Okay. So directionally,
I would prefer that to there for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the sentiment.
we can validate maximizing the backside, keeping the 224 on the roof, and then laying this out up there. And, I do think that's a much better spot that we didn't really, nail down last time, so.
Yeah, and if you wanna see what it looks like, drive down Jarvis to the prison. They have a full array, and then see if you can sneak around the back without getting caught and see what it looks like.
There's no December meeting.
Without
we're all in
bailing
jail.
anyone out.
I don't endorse that.
Spend the night at the prison, I don't know.
If you get caught, tell them Dennis Rio.
That'll throw you in jail for longer.
So
You
I'll
you
take
can
that,
actually see them if you drive down Highway.
I'll take that as an action item, put that back together and see you guys at your December 11th.
Well, let's see, what do people around the table?
I just have
feel?
one quick question, just the, maybe it's an ONG question, where we cleared, is that cleared exactly to the property line as surveyed on the north part?
Where the arrays in the back?
I mean, just the whole property line on the upper right hand corner. Is that on the property line or is that set back a number of yards from the property?
I'd have to look it up in the drawings, I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, we're way beyond, the property line goes way beyond there, but it's a wetlands issue.
On the north part though, the
On the
wetlands.
on the northeast.
No, the north, he's saying in the line
I'm
that's
talking about
coming
the
down
line
on
at the
the
very
picture.
top, what's almost due north right here.
Oh,
Is it
that goes
conservation
up.
land? There's town conservation land, I think, that abuts that property.
Turtles.
That's what I'm just asking, if that is exactly the property line, or if that starts another, sometimes it's not exactly.
I don't know what the buffer is. if it's
I'll tell you in
town.
1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
You did the bigger array in that northeast where you're talking about, in the roof, you said that'd put us at like 600 to 650, right?
5 and 7, 770.
770. I mean,
770.
that's 770 out of like the 9 that you were asking for. What does that do to your grand plan and
That's a big
money saved?
question on that. The 770 out of 900, what are the implications on the plan for that?
You're talking about in terms of production?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just means that we're not, providing the full service for the building, so, we'll have to buy the delta from the grid, I think.
Does
Right,
the
Aaron?
900 just serve
Well-
Longmont, or serve Barnum, or does it have excess?
Aaron, but
If you lose the 200, it'll change the project financials. I will ensure what the projection was from what Kohler Ronan gave us for the anticipated building load. But the solar arrays were being designed to maximize the available roof space and potential carports, originally to zero out across the building stock. Some of them are overproducing. Programmatically, it allows us to then offset the overproduction to another facility. As we're doing that, we're generating additional investment monies to do the other HVAC work that's gonna be presented in a couple of weeks.
So we're going
The
beyond
original-
net zero in this.
The original analysis of losing just the carport, which is fairly similar to the 225, I think, was the original design of the carport. You'd lose about $500,000 of spend today over the 20-year pro forma.
Now, this might sound a little crazy, but as I was looking at the picture that we had pulled up earlier, if we have soccer fields, would there be like a bench cover on maybe both sides of the field that would serve a dual purpose that might look kind of cool, but also capture solar? Would that look good? Is there space for that? I don't know.
Get your
Would there,
sandbox shed that you
would that be interested?
Justin, is this the SV-01 boundaries and topographical map, correct?
Yes.
So this one on the left, you can see Marion, Jarvis. You can see the boundary line pretty much follows this down here. And on the right here is kind of,
Yeah, I think it's right up.
so there's a lot of room. I mean, this is all within the property line. If we look, this is that one piece of property, but as was pointed out, a lot of it's wetlands.
I was talking more than
But you
north.
can't
I think
go
it's
farther
cut.
north.
No, I think it's cut right on.
You got
that
the
edge.
line right there.
I don't think there's any more room there.
So this line here, we're pretty much tight to the boundary line.
Oh, you think it's pushing it back, add
Yeah,
more?
if it was- Or if you could do like one long row along the property line.
Yeah.
So you gotta go,
You still have to go.
you gotta go
behind the
east
trees.
until until you start encroaching on wetlands.
I guess what I'm hearing though is if we did just a big area in that northeast and we did the roof that we've talked about, which was, you know, half of it or whatever, that's all you would need for our building, Barnum, to be at like the baseline of what everybody wanted at 0 or whatever. Anything else is really just gravy for the other school buildings.
Yeah, if you can do it. I wouldn't wanna, you know, really compromise the aesthetic of the building. But I think it's worth exploring, obviously. See what we can do.
So just, I don't wanna get in the weeds in this, but the program, it's a new carve-out that we're applying into, pays a specific rate, a specific tariff rate for 20 years. It's more than what you're paying. So every time we can produce 1 kilowatt hour, they're gonna pay you 18.89 cents for ground level. All your buildings are different, but you may be only paying 12. So it's that additional dollars that are then able to help.
Got it.
So
we're generating revenue with every square foot we have.
you're
in essence.
generating more than, yeah.
Yeah, we're generating money by this. And that's what pays for the
And
others.
so that's why I say the 200 for the roughly 200 that you lost, if you don't keep it in the project, will equate to about 500,000.
Or you have to find that 200 at some other school or
Yeah.
town property.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a 20-year, Aaron?
20-year tariff.
So it's a good sentence if we have 20 years, we could take it down if we wanted to.
Now,
You can take it down before that.
Just don't generate any revenue.
I don't think there's a penalty, they just stop paying.
You lost some square footage over at Norton also. Did that affect the financials?
It will, and that's why we had proposed from the original design, the carport. And so this is what we lost.
I'm not seeing it.
It looks nice.
We lost the guy that jumped off that cliff. On that, maybe just not present. So this is the, from that original recommendation, the forward facing. Now, I did shrink this, and we tried to talk about it while we were there. Originally, we talked about 1/3, but this point here and this point here removes the visibility unless you're 16 feet tall, or you were staying all the way down at the entrance and you were 12 feet tall maybe, you know. So I did that. I don't know what the implications are, but we were losing 65, so maybe we're losing 40, but the original design had, you know, some additional land based solar. And so that's why, to get back to original size, there's a carport of 298, roughly that 300 kW. And I think the bus route that comes in and loops around was over on the left. It could be high enough for that, it could be 14 feet. It's abutting the property line at that point. We moved it in, and I think, Dennis, you had mentioned about the trees in the center islands that you had and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, I think we also need to talk about the low roof.
The
'Cause
low roof.
after the walkthrough, that becomes very visible.
Right, and these two areas here on the back and here in the front is adjacent to the open space area for educational purposes that we were going to add kiosks to and plaques to be able to demonstrate live in real time what the solar arrays were producing. We also have done education at different levels, K through 12, that can be implemented with your curriculum provider. And Judy Mouton from our team would set that up with you.
So in my mind, both the low roof at the bottom left and the carport are an aesthetics issue that we haven't addressed properly.
You're absolutely right, because we only talked about removing all of those on the lower roofs.
Not sure I follow.
I think the recommendation from the board, from the meeting minutes, was that you requested the ones that are in red, additionally, the two lower roofs here and here.
Can't see what he's pointing at.
Sorry. I should have a pointer. It's this one. I think you mentioned this roof and this roof to have no solar when we did the original vote on solar to be removed.
Yeah, I think the one on top of the kitchen is not an issue.
Yeah.
The one
It's
on
just
top
the one
of the front end is an issue.
Yeah, last time we talked about that, you're looking at that roof section from inside the building. Here. There's windows that face out to this roof, and all you're looking at is a flat roof. Rather than looking at a flat ugly roof, look at solar panels and what the offer is from Johnson Controls is in this area, which is, you know, an area for students to congregate. We would put a kiosk and show the
Yeah.
solar production. So, you know, kind of pick your poison. You're still looking at a pretty ugly flat roof. I'd rather look at the solar panels with the array was the
Not
recommendation.
concerned about the view from the rooms as much as I'm concerned from what it looks like from the outside as you approach the building. Because that roof has no parapet.
Yeah, but I think you said, Aaron, this would be pushed in from the edge of the roof?
Yeah, it's already
So-
got a setback from the roofs already, so I don't think you're gonna actually see it from the ground.
Yes, you will.
I thought we said that at the last one, that, because we had the image up and I thought you could see it, because you had said they're angled up, right? They're not flat, they're facing the south.
Yeah.
So they're angled up the solar panels, right?
They'll be angled, yes.
Right. So I think on that lower roof, you'd be able to see it from the ground.
Well, depends how far away you are. You're not gonna be able to see it with the setback. Yeah, how far away are
Away
you?
you're gonna be is the road's like 500 feet from there, so you're approaching it, you're gonna see it when you're coming up to it, right?
Yeah.
There's
It's
no way
not
to get a
like it's
rendering
right
of
up.
that or anything, that's gonna see that somehow?
And that, from the
Like, I think
standpoint of
the
achieving
roof
both,
the roof is there. You could probably do an easier mock-up of that than we could do of anything else,
yeah.
right? I mean, the roof's there now, you can just throw one up there.
You could stand on the roof and I'll go down.
Yeah. See me guys? Don't jump.
Hold
What
on
are you
to
doing
a
tomorrow?
paddle, trying to get away by the wind.
It's awful windy up there.
I'm on the ground.
Now, I just watched the video of last time, but I didn't get the sense that the committee liked the carport idea at all.
No.
Was that?
That is a very good
Subtle.
Well, I don't know that, you know, we're on the same wavelength there, but it appeared to me from your
I
conversation.
thought we
Where I'm
were
at
basically,
north end is, I don't mind the stuff in the back and on the roof. I think anything else makes it look, you know, a little less ugly than other options, but still ugly nonetheless. And I don't like it. I don't like any of the stuff in front, on the hill, trying to push it off to the side. I mean, it's all just, I don't like any of that stuff in front. Here, I mean, carport I think is absolutely not for me. And I didn't like the stuff on the low roof, but I could see where you're coming from seeing it on the inside.
I think the inside piece is what I'm most excited about. And to me, I think from just we all have diverse opinions. I would want to minimize the aesthetic impact, obviously, to the greatest extent possible. But I'm also thinking to myself, on the north end, is there a way to incorporate an educational component there? Like I know that doesn't exist, that opportunity doesn't exist in the facility design itself. But like ground-based somewhere, like to take up 8 square feet with a larger fence around it so kids can actually go in and see it, like that's cool. And that's the future that they'll be inheriting. So like I would really want them on the north end to be able to have a similar educational experience, even if it's only like, you know, 10 by 10 paneling, with a space that they could go into and look at it with a teacher.
For educational purposes.
Yeah.
Why can't we put one in the courtyard?
I don't know if you're gonna get enough sun in the courtyard, but
Yes, you would.
you're gonna get light. I don't know if it's direct sun or if you get enough to do it, like, I don't care where it
Incorporate
goes.
it into the cover on the sand pit, yeah, there.
Cover on the sand
Well,
pit,
yeah.
yeah, something
And
like that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
there's
Well,
alternative
that was
options.
brought up at one
Jeff
point.
said the-
There is a
Yeah.
cover, we put
The
the cover on the
preschool
sand
has
pit.
that,
Or we could put solar.
that area.
On the back of the playground.
Yeah, it's in the
Yeah.
playground, the preschool has a big area that's covered. I don't know if we show that on any of our things here, but
What's covered?
it's a play area
a
for the
larger
preschool
play area
kids.
for preschool kids to be in, like sand or.
What's that, Barnum?
That's covered for shade.
It's at Barnum,
At
yes,
Barnum, yeah.
preschool.
Let's not jump around schools. Back to your point, Jeff, I think that to achieve both the educational piece and the aesthetic piece, if we were to cut the array in half, pretty much where the notch is, and not do the front end, that would probably be less objectionable.
Can you see it internally
Yes.
when you do that? Yeah.
I think what what I'm gonna propose is, try to get some actual panels on the racking up there.
Yeah.
Put them where we're proposing for the front. Let's
Yeah,
take
let's
some
try-
pictures,
let's
take
see
a
it.
look
I mean,
at it.
it's easy to see
And then
that
if not, to your point, then, because we're not going all the way back to here, we're going here, I could maybe take some rows out down there.
Yeah, like 5.
Out of the 6?
No, you got.
How about three? I'm 6 out.
I get 2.
Do I hear too?
Yeah,
Yeah, but put
I
some
think
up
that's a
there,
really
let's
good,
see.
like,
But I don't think that, as I'm looking around the room, nobody
want the carport.
seems to be supporting the carport in front of Norton.
Right.
I think there's some serious questions about the panels in front of Barnum. But everybody supports what you're showing here, other than the question about the flat roof and the flat roof section at Barnum, plus as large as you can go in the back at Barnum.
Now, the
Have
other
we
thing
looked
is-
at
Can you just go back
Yep,
up?
yep.
We talked about,
Norton?
this is a flat roof, so
Yes.
you might be able to add, if there's room, you can add some of the panels back there.
That, sorry to interrupt here, but that, the roof over the gymnasium is continuous
Yes.
to that line, where the gable, or the other, yeah, the gable
Right where the
portion.
spine is.
Yep.
Yep.
Didn't we talk about Norton putting it in the back as well? Instead of the carport?
Yeah, I thought we said there was not enough room.
or really too near the wetland back there?
Is there any space back?
Because there's
Not
that,
that
like,
much, you got houses.
and there's like, there's a big patch of
Like
wetland
right here.
in the back corner, isn't it? Or not big, compared to our other wetlands. Yeah, that
This
little
doesn't,
guy.
this doesn't show that.
I have the plan of Norton.
Is that the Sharon,
go ahead.
is that the Sharon with a?
Sharon Drive is coming in.
Yeah, but I'm saying, where's the driveway, the access gonna be? Where all the trucks are?
No?
Tighter to the building, right?
Yeah, that Sharon Road, access, that's gonna be emergency only
Yeah.
after the school's built. It'll be walking area and emergency access. So if you can fit some ground base, like where the construction trailer,
Where the trailer is, and then you've got
This
a whole row
vicinity.
of.
This is all trees right now. Sorry. This is kind of our, this is the Sharon Drive access. This is what we call our fire road right now. That's the, behind the fenced off tree area here. All our guys park along this edge here and down into here, and this gets us into the construction zone. This here is all trees right now. And then there's trees back here as well, but there's also, some of this area is cleared for the construction trailers. This here is what we were
That's
talking about,
wet,
that's
yeah,
wetlands.
that's the wetlands.
Can't do that.
And then you got the retention pond,
Right,
which is in the middle there.
yes.
I definitely would not wanna take out more trees.
No,
on
yeah,
that
I was gonna say that.
eastern
Towards
side.
Dryden.
Took a lot of trees out. on
Yeah,
it.
those houses right on Dryden that are backing up, I wouldn't want any more of the
Right.
buffer taken.
Yeah.
But on the right-hand side, for what it's worth, those are deep lots. But I wouldn't go any further south than that.
Okay. I think we're good.
I'm good,
Aaron?
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have direction?
Got it?
Can I put you on the agenda for December?
December 11th.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
And you're
Thank
gonna
you.
put some panels on the Norton roof and some.
We'll get a mock-up up there we can go look at. I'll have pictures of it, but it'll be up there and hopefully I can get it in there by December 1st.
All right, well, let us know, cause I send a
Yep.
note
Send a
out to
note out,
people.
tell everybody to
We
go
wanna
look.
take a look.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Will you raise
And,
your hand?
No.
Oh,
Ben,
okay.
North, there's a place for an educational spot. We'll talk about
Okay.
There's gonna be some kiosk inside no matter what.
North End.
Yeah, inside the building, but you wanna like do a
See
it or feel it, the solar panel?
Feel it.
Touch your truck, whatever.
Touch a panel. Monthly
Touch
progress
live
report, North
electricity.
End. Ryan?
Should be, everyone should have the handout in front
Colonel
of
will
them.
be calling or whatever.
Alright, the north end. As you can see, we are moving forward pretty well. A lot of activity is happening inside the building. We continue with, construction outside the building site work. Right before the tour last Thursday, we paved the last portion, the pre-K driveway and parking lot. They have started to lay out all the play fields that are behind the building. I know it was pretty dark when you guys got there, so you didn't see a whole lot of that. But if anyone wants to come by and check it out, obviously you're more than welcome to come. Stop by the house and we'll definitely, get you around during the daylight hours. But as you can see, yeah, we're moving forward well. We've got the grass established in basically the majority of the site except for behind the building, because there's still a lot of construction work going on there. Veneer wise, we were moving forward with brick. We are expecting the replacement brick for what was not brought to us, obviously due to the factory issue, next week. So we should start seeing that brick arrive. The remainder of it start to arrive next week. It's all coming, but it'll come in different loads, obviously. So they're gonna continue to work their way around, with the brick and getting that installed. Metal panels are going on in the exterior of the building. We are scheduled to start shingles on the sloped roofs where shingles go, the week of Thanksgiving. We'll start there, and, based on the information that they're telling us, they're about 2 weeks at each school to get all the shingle work done, and from what we've seen over at Norton, which I'll talk about in a minute, I think they're gonna be able to be pretty close to meeting those dates. So by early December, we should have all the shingles on the North End School, which basically wraps up our roofing except for detail work and obviously the metal fascia panels and things like that to go around the edges. So that work is ongoing. Sheetrock's ongoing in both in D and C, mainly focused on there. Those are the areas that we're pretty much completely. Those are the areas that we're heating. We're not heating A and B yet because there's not a need for that, and we only heat for material purposes, not for human comfort. So we're working on that. Obviously, infrastructure is going in. Chilled beams have been put above ceiling in areas of D, and they're starting to work towards area C for the chilled beams, so that's a big step forward. So yeah, I mean, a lot of work going on in the building now. We're seeing a lot of progress, and we'll continue to see that as we work our way through the winter. Windows are scheduled to hit the site in a couple of weeks. The reason the windows have not hit the site yet is we've held them off because we can't install a lot of them until the brickwork is done. There's just too tight of a detail at the ledges, the bottom of the windows when you go to install them, that if we try to put the windows in first, there's too much of a likelihood of damaging the frames when we try to get all the window sills and the brickwork in below the windows on the first floor. So everything is temporarily sealed in buildings C and D, and D building, they are washing the brick that's been installed in the courtyard, working their way around to the south side of that building. We will be looking to get the windows into D building first and moving that along. That is basically the actual activity construction update of what we have going on in there. Yep.
Question for you on the summary data.
Yep.
The Building C completion, which was May 21st, it now says is July 13th.
Yeah, so we're still working on, there were a few busts in the schedule, so I'm working with Dave over at North End to really work on it and figure out why we're seeing this jumping fluctuation. That is not a representation of a loss of a week or 2 months of time frame in there.
It looks that way.
I do, I understand that, and I had a meeting with Dave yesterday about this, and we're gonna spend quite a bit of time over the next couple of weeks to get that ready and have a much better representation in the December 11th report.
And I know we had talked early on about trying to get the classroom wings completed earlier than the rest of the buildings so that we could start moving furniture and stuff like that. July 13th is really.
Yeah, and that's not an
pushing
accurate
this
date.
out.
That is not an accurate date, and again, that is a bust in the schedule. There are some bad ties in there that, based on the way the windows and the way the brickwork was tied, they kind of just, it was incorrectly tied, and it resulted in pushing the date way out. And it's, again, I'm working with Dave to resolve that, and we will have a true representation of what that is. So we are still looking to get both C and D wing turned over beginning of the June timeframe, end of May, beginning of June timeframe for the 2 classroom wings.
Is there a reason they haven't gone into A at all?
Just the way we have everything scheduled out, it's not that they're not in A, they are working in A, it's just that we work from D to C to B to A, so it's just that kind of flow into there.
I just assumed the classrooms would all get done.
No, that wasn't the way that we had it scheduled. We had it scheduled main classrooms into those areas with A being the very last area that we finished on our way out. So I think we'll be able to pick up some time in those areas once we get the millwork and everything coming in. We've got to get the building enclosed. We've got to get all our roughing and infrastructure in, and then we can look at again, kitchens, gymnasium, things like that, they have very specific times that we can do those. So those will be kind of our very towards the end. I think we'll be able to pick up some time in the A classrooms, the pre-K classroom areas and offices to get those to you sooner. Though again, I don't want to commit to too early of a date on those areas and until we get a little closer to that time frame. So by mid-spring next year, the March timeframe, early spring, I should say, middle of the first half of next year, we should be able to have a really good idea of when, if we can move that area A sooner.
Okay, I'm just getting a little nervous as the cold weather's coming, and we're not completely closed in. We don't have windows yet, we don't have all the areas locked up, front door isn't on, that sort of thing. I'm just getting nervous that we're going to run into some last minute hustling in order to get this building ready.
I understand your concern, and again, looking at it from that perspective, I can see why you are concerned. I am very conscious of that. I am not concerned with not meeting our dates. I'm very confident that we will beat the end date that we have, the mid-July end date for those areas. Again, like I said, our biggest focus is the main body of the building. That the amount of work that is that pre-K wing is a small amount of work when you look at the grand scheme of all the other areas.
If we find one building is moving ahead of the other, can we surge staff from one into the other one? If we have the same subs?
If it's the same subs, yes, but you also have to look at how does that impact, some of the other areas. We have not utilized a lot of Saturdays yet that we have on the books, and we have been looking at that as an option to get ahead. I think there's certain things you don't want to do too early and get yourself in trouble, especially, when you're looking until we are able to really enclose that part of the building. And a lot of that has to do with the brick has been an impact to enclosing that part of the building. But schedule-wise, we are not behind schedule in Area A. We're actually about 20 days ahead in all areas. So I know it doesn't look like that. I know it looks scary, but we did an evaluation, and we are looking at about 20 days ahead, right now. So again,
I'm holding you to it.
absolutely. 17 years, I haven't missed a date yet. So.
Okay. Anything else on the north end?
Just real quick to just on some of the financial parts of it, I think you saw that, Rich has reported very well on that, but, we still have very healthy funds, 1.696 million in our contingency fund, still in available allowances of 455,000, so, very healthy there. We do have some potential costs, as you can see, potential budget revisions of 118,879. We are working our way through that, so, we'll continue to monitor that and work with the design team. We do have regular meetings now to go over PCOs, to look at them, and hopefully that will streamline the process a little bit. Working our way through, resolving a couple of issues that we've come across and a couple of mistakes that, Ferguson made, that we're going to work with. We're meeting tomorrow with the design team to help address, so, I'm confident we'll be able to get to, a resolution that will help us move forward.
Norton?
Yep. So Norton Building, obviously, when you did your walkthrough, you can see they fortunately did not have the same brick issue that we had at North End. So they actually have quite a bit more windows that are going in. They're moving well with that, getting that building fully enclosed. The mason is wrapping up, coming close to being complete with all of his work. Metal panels have started to go on in the exterior. Site work wise, they have done a little bit of paving. Most of their paving will be done next year. They've got some of the playground areas laid out and started in that, just like we did at the north end. They've started working in the courtyard area. So they're really picking up on the outside of the building, where North End got ahead early on with outside of the building. They had more focus on the inside of the building, so they're a little farther in the inside of the building, and they're moving very well. They've got sheetrock basically complete in D building and substantially complete in C building, and they're working their way towards the B building and moving forward in there. They have actually got some tile work that has started in some of the bathrooms in D building, so, moving very well in the Norton job. So there's, like I said, they started this week with the shingles. As of yesterday afternoon, they had completed or substantially completed D building, shingled roofs, and we're on to C building. They should be complete with both of those by the end of this week or Monday at the latest, moving into any of the shingled areas in the front of the building. And like I said, they expect to be out of there no later than the end of next week. And that crew moves right to north when they get done north.
They seem to be moving along well.
Yes. From the financial aspect of it, we have a smaller contingency, but we always started with smaller contingency. Still 1.528 million, 429,866 left in allowances. We are tracking some more potential changes on here, a little higher potential changes, almost double at 241,677. But again, those are potential, not necessarily true changes that are going to come to fruition. So we're working through all of those items with our subs, and then with the design team when they're ready to go through there. So, and I think what the meetings that Zach has set up for us is going to help us to expedite and speed up that process as well, because some of the back and forth that's been happening via email and the A-Connect system we'll be able to resolve it in that meeting, so it'll cut out some of that time. So we are appreciative of that effort by Tecton to help us with that. So. But yeah, everything's moving very well at Norton. I think you probably have a little more comfort at there, and I think you have a little less comfort at seeing Norton, thinking that possibly it's lagging well behind, but it is
I try not to compare them because I know the guys are sensitive to that when I'm in meetings. However, it's hard not to do that when you walk through the two buildings one right after the other. So. Other comments? Okay. Very good, thank you. Architects, construction administrative summary, North End and Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the NGSBC. So we're not burdening you with a heavy hard copy of our construction administration summaries, so I'll go over the highlights for Barnum. Since our last report, 20 new construction RFIs for a total of 186, 36 new submittals for a total of 939. So as I've reported in past meetings, the crush of submittals is starting to come down. In previous reports, we're getting about 100 a month. So we're very much on the other side of the bell curve of when we get those. We've listed our meetings attending, so bi-weekly OAC meetings, PCO meetings, bi-weekly on-site meetings, of course the NGSBC meetings, and our newly implemented team PCO review meetings. Within our report, we've also attached 2 field reports from Tecton, one from Benesh, one from Kohler Rowan. For Norton, similar story, 11 new construction RFIs for a total of 195, 23 new submittals for a total of 767. Similar roster of meetings that we've attended. There are a couple of PCOs for North End or Barnum this evening. One for Norton dealing with
I'll explain.
Ryan will be able to get into the tree. The only other thing that I'll mention is we gave the presentation. Everybody's aware. You were all there. I don't need to tell you, but last Thursday we gave the FF&E presentation. So we're in the process of assembling all of the OGA documentation. Those meetings have now been scheduled with Barbara Fabiani at the state. So by our next meeting, we should get through all of our meetings with the state. So there are 4 meetings that we've scheduled, 1 each for each school for F&E, 1 each for technology. So by December 11th, we should be through those review meetings. There will be some follow-up items, but as I've represented to this committee and at last Thursday's meeting, I feel like we're in very good position for these reviews. Usually we're going through this process for a summer install, the end of December to the beginning of January, with issuing purchase. The last several projects that we've had, we've issued purchase orders in February for earlier install than what we're looking at now. So the goal is to have purchase orders and or bid documents by the end of the year, likely finalizing those in January so that we can get in the queue for the lead times for delivery and installation. So as it gets closer, we'll have closer coordination with the vendors that are supplying with the actual turnover dates so that we can start sequencing the install of the furniture to coincide with when the spaces are available. Some more working group interaction will need to occur relative colors and the final colors and materials for the furniture, but that's going to likely occur around the first of the year.
I will commend you as I looked through the report, both ONG and Tecton. I remember a couple of months ago, Chris had raised the question. There were a lot of items that were being noted and the corrections weren't being noted or weren't being done. But I'm seeing in most cases now that there's actions being taken and that it's being monitored. So I'm pleased to see that.
We're also meeting regularly, not only just putting responses, but discussing them as well in a kind of a standalone virtual meeting.
Yep.
That's been helpful as well.
Great. Any comments or questions for Jessica? Okay. All right, Rich, budget?
Sure. So I passed around the contingency log, which basically kind of sums up what available funds are. Everything else is encumbered. But when you get a copy of the budget, you'll see that we've encumbered everything that this team has discussed and has needed, as far as whether it's change orders or new contracts. If you go to the pages behind the budget is where you'll find where we're moving things from owner's contingency up into the different line items. And the latest ones you can see are the ones that are labeled, they're dated 10/23. That's the last time we met and we approved. So you can see that we approved $32,000 for additional testing on the North End School. and that was encumbered. And also 1026, we increased, oh, I'm sorry, that was a 2023. So, yeah, so the only thing that we encumbered on the north end project, on the Bourne project, was the TestCon services. On Norton, if you flip to the back on the owner's contingency, you'll see that at the joint meeting, there was a motion to encumber $257,000, which is based on TechCon's estimate for technology and FF&E. So we moved that from owner's contingency up into the FF&E line item. When those numbers come in, we'll see whether or not there's any available funds that we can move down, or if we need to move up for costs that exceeded the line item budgets. So going back to the available contingencies, what we're doing is we're also tracking what was the previous month that we reported. So you can see last month we reported on Barnum that there was an aggregate amount of $12,659,000. It is now down to $12,521,000 based on the changes, and of course tracking of things that have not hit the encumbrances yet, like the de-escalation room. The larger change was on Norton because we encumbered the $257,000 plus the TestCon plus the de-escalation room. So it went from $6,477,000 to where we are now at $5,942,000. Questions?
So this budget is as of October 31st, and this is as of now, November 13th.
Yes. Yeah.
So the two may not match up exactly.
They should match up though, Rich. Yeah.
Rich, where's the 257 shown on this?
On Norton, so that'll
Shows up under budget adjustments for FF&E.
See it there.
Oh, okay, we might not have picked it up on owner's contingency. It did get picked up in the budget itself, Sean.
Yeah, I see it on the page. I thought
we'll have to make note in.
It didn't come out of owner's contingency.
It came out of bid savings.
Bid savings, yes, and it is reflected there, Dennis.
Yeah, because
I looked at that yesterday and I verified.
You know, that was 800 something, it's down.
That's right.
579, but it doesn't show.
It's not noted in the.
As a separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll make sure that gets noted.
It's also not on this yet, but that's probably because this is as of October 31st.
Well, that's true, right? But I mean, the motion was made last week, so it should have been in there.
Right, but it's not, right? It's not in.
No, it's not in.
Got it.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure I was missing it.
It's on
there.
it's on this,
Yep.
but it didn't get carried into
All good.
the notes.
But it shouldn't be.
It should be.
No, because this is only the contingency fund.
Hey, that's a good point. Yeah.
So.
We should be
contingency
tracking that
fund-
though, Ken.
Yeah, so you need another page.
Well, that's true. I mean, you know, we it's a distinction without definition that we have bid savings and we have owner's contingency. So we'll have to make an asterisk that says.
We can transfer bid savings to other contingencies.
Well, at some point, we'll just combine them.
Yeah.
Just one of those things that we kept out there. Okay. Invoice approvals?
Okay. So invoice approvals. It makes the job go smoother. As they say, cash is king. And while that's going around, just to note for the committee, we have our monthly meeting with Jim Jascott to go over where things are. We submitted second pay request 5 weeks ago, so we're not expecting anything within the month. We're hoping that maybe in December we'll be able to report on something, but tomorrow we'll give Jim an update on what we know from the state.
All right. Want to start with the north end? We have a invoice number 13163 from Material Testing for TestCon, $14,500. So we have a motion.
And I can tell what them.
Dennis, and a second? Second, Meg? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Invoice number 25139 for other consultant for MP Planning for $5,298.75. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second, Meg? Vin, how many more months of payment do we have on this?
We have one more partial month, I believe.
And then we're done, okay.
This is October.
Any other?
We have one more full month.
One more, okay.
Yes.
Questions? Comments? No? All those in favor? And it's unanimous. Invoice number 15 to Construction Manager, O&G, $3,539,196.87.
Make a motion.
Do we have a motion? Dennis, second? Right? Any discussion? Now that they're eliminating the penny, I don't know that you can do 57 anymore, but we'll see. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Invoice number 36081129. Owners Representative Services, Arcadis, $29,352.04. Do we have a motion? Dennis, second? Meg? Any discussion? No? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Nothing for Tecton on this one?
We work for food.
They work for free. Put that in the minutes.
I said food.
For the record.
And we're out of food.
We have water.
The second meeting, and our last invoice was to October.
I know, I mean, he's
So
putting
if
food, I was
this invoice would be
try
for
that,
November
like,
services,
baseball.
we'll come to having that approved. So we'll get back on the cycle once we get into January.
All right, I just didn't want you complaining you didn't have money to buy your turkey or
I am gonna be asking for gas money.
All right, Norton Elementary, invoice number 13083 REV, revised 2, material testing services, TestCon, $29,086.50. Motion, Dennis, second? Meg, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Invoice number 36081117, Owners Representative Services, Arcadis, $30,101.68. Motion, Dennis, second? Meg, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. And invoice number 15, Construction Manager, O&G, $3,700,855.37. Motion, Dennis, second, Meg? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Okay. Change orders.
We have none. Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I'm,
Here.
we do, yeah. I was thinking
3
contract.
total, 2 for north and 1 for
Oh,
north.
this is 2 lines, sorry, my bad. Just 3. That's still one.
Okay, north end first.
Yeah, it was not here, was it?
It was in the original packet.
Yeah. It's on the big packet.
Yeah, if you pull the staple, the paper clip off, you'll be able to individually get those. So north end, we have 2. I'm gonna read from the specific PCO because unfortunately, PCO 19 description that was originally put on there through negotiations with Tecton and some revisions required. That language is no longer representative. What was sent to you by Rich, I believe yesterday is the revised version.
Yeah, we had a couple of revisions.
Yep, so PCO 19R2, the language for this is Bulletin 9 fire protection color changes. So this change order is for the additional cost to provide custom color concealed sprinkler head covers as indicated in Bulletin 9. The contract documents call for the color of all concealed sprinkler heads covers to be standard white. During review of the sprinkler soft drawings, the design team noted some of the concealed sprinkler heads were located in custom colored ceilings and Bulletin 9 changed the concealed sprinkler head covers to be custom colored to match the ceilings that were being installed. So this is specific to a green and a yellow color. You don't want a white and a green ceiling. Yellow, it wouldn't have been as bad, but you kind of like have a little polka dot. Is the cost for it's basically a material and setup cost. It's a vendor cost. There is no labor in this. So grand total of $1,412, including O&G and markup.
Do we have a motion? So moved. So moved, Dennis. Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
So this was the ceilings and
Hard to ask. All right.
All right, and at the Norton School, we only have one to present today. This is PCO 34R1, Sharon Drive Damaged Tree Removal and Replacement. So this proposal is to furnish the labor, materials, and equipment to remove and replace the Norway maple tree that was damaged along Sharon Drive. The damaged tree will be ground to 6 inches below grade, and a new red maple will be planted to replace the damaged tree. The value of this is $5,986 being taken from the CM contingency. So the backstory here is I got a call from our neighbor Olga, who's been excellent, very good neighbor for us. She is the house immediately, if you're looking from Sharon Drive towards the project, she's immediately to the left of that easement that we went in there. She called me up to notify me that one of the 2 trees that are in front of her house between the sidewalk and the driveway and the road, had a big split in it. She did say that she saw a big truck out there earlier in the day. She did not witness it happen. I immediately went down there, checked it out, and sure enough, and I can pull up, share
Yeah,
the
I was
pictures.
gonna ask you if you put the picture.
Yeah, I'll put the pictures on. Those that haven't seen, yeah, you can see on the right here, the tree basically split on the street side of the tree, right up from about 1.5 feet, a couple feet off the ground, right up through the V in the tree, right up to that branch that is overhanging the street. If you look at this picture here, the tree branches after it was hit is a little bit below 13 feet. You can see behind the ruler here, or the measuring tape, where the tree was actually rubbed. It wasn't a major collision. What probably happened is that some piece of a truck caught the very edge of this branch and torqued the tree, which kind of turned it like this, which would cause it to split. We did notify the Department of Public Works. I brought an arborist out there. I think we spoke about that. And we brought an arborist out there from TC Landscaping. He gave us two options. One option would be to drill in two locations of the main trunk, kind of on a, you know, not a perpendicular axis, but offset, maybe 30 degrees offset, threaded rod bolted to pull and suck this tree back together and see if it would survive. The other option is taking it down completely. When we provided this to the Department of Public Works, the response was that we're not doing the drilling and putting threaded rod through there. First of all, you know, it's not likely to survive. Second of all, it's not going to look very good. They didn't want to just trim the branch off, because then that would have left all of the weight of the tree on the property owner's side of the tree. So if it was ever, heaven forbid, to fall, it's going to fall into her property. I don't think it would reach the house, but there is that potential. It also would fall over the sidewalk, so heaven forbid someone was walking by. It's a safety hazard. This is outside of the bounds of the construction limits of what your contract covers. This would be a similar situation if a contractor was driving down the road and hit a parked car down the road, or heaven forbid hit a tree, or lost control and went into a house. The project isn't legally responsible by contract to pay for this. If we had direct evidence of who did this, all I could do is turn that over to the police department or the town for them to go after that person civilly or, you know, criminally, depending on what the issue was. Being as these neighbors have been great, they love their trees on this street, it is a safety issue because, as you can see, the tree is split and hanging over the road. This proposal I got is to take this tree down and to replace it with I believe it's a
red maple.
Well, yes. So the tree that we damaged is an invasive species, and we cannot replace it with that tree. You have to replace it with something in kind. The red maple is what's in kind, and the proposal is to provide I think it's a 12 to 14 foot, 2.5 to 3 inch diameter, what they call the Sun Glory, which is a red maple tree. So it will be a juvenile tree. I wouldn't call it a mature tree, but it's not a sapling either. There is some debate about if that tree might be a little bit too big with the root ball on it. We might have to go a little bit smaller. My biggest concern right here is for the potential if we get an ice storm, heavy winter storm, and that either one way or another, that tree falling, either the branch coming down in the road causing damage to something, car passing or something like that, or the tree falling in there. So doing my due diligence, doing what I think is best for all involved, I did get this pricing and put it together. We are looking at obviously taking this out of the same contingency. This is not it's all your money, it's all the town's money, but I think out of, obviously for keeping the good neighbor policy, keeping good with the neighbors, Olga was very keen to express to me how much they love their trees on Sharon Drive.
I think
so
we're ready to make a motion.
Very happy, so yes.
18 minutes of tree work at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Jeff.
And we make a motion to replace the tree.
For $5,986.30.
We like our trees too.
Exactly that amount, yeah.
Seconds.
Second? Did you second it? Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, I think when Chuck and I spoke about this, we both agree that it's not a part of the project, but it's definitely the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that we knew who did the damage. We don't. They've been talking to me about this in the Norton meetings, but there's not much you can do. As we said, the neighbors have been fantastic. The Norton neighbors could have been complaining about a lot of things, but the noise, the dust and things, but
Let's give
they've
them
been
a solar
really
panel.
Yeah.
We're also removing an invasive species and putting in a native species, which is a net good.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's not gonna be 12 to 14 feet. That root ball's not gonna fit there.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be like?
Yeah, like 6 feet. But anything's better than not
So-
having a tree.
My recommendation is we approve this as a not to exceed, so that we can take the tree down now We wouldn't be planting till the spring anyway. And then in working with the landscape architect, we can determine what is the right size tree to put in this area. So that we're not
So
ripping
moved.
sidewalks.
Is that all right with you?
Not to exceed, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, okay. All those in favor? And it is unanimous. And let's see, adjournment, and that's about all that we've got. All right, I thank you all very much. And-
Can I make
Yes, sir.